Hello and welcome back to Front Porch Entertainment Sports Talk, coming to you from our porch to yours. Today I'm here with J-Man
Hey guys, how are
and
we?
and our producer and co-host Fee.
What's up, everybody?
And today I figured we'd talk a little bit about the NCAA title game, and some of the implications of the outcome. Go around the NCAA men's opening week of conference play, as well as talk a little bit about the NBA standings and the All-Star game. We also answer your questions about which quarterbacks can win it all in the NFL,
Whether we like them or not.
whether we like them or not. And also, sorry, ladies, Tim Tebow is now off the market.
Oh man, he done Miss Universe or something.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah, well, I guess he ain't gonna be a virgin no more.
All right, and also don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Front Porch ENT, as well as on Facebook and YouTube pages at Front Porch Entertainment. Any announcements before we get going, guys?
We've got a special guest here that we may or may not get him on the mic here in a little while, but he's going to sit in with us and kind of check out how we go about our deal. And if he's got something to add, he will either shove a mic in his face or he can talk to one of us and we'll put his thoughts on air.
We can get him a mic.
Mr. Matt Cantrell, by the way.
He'll have to sit in between us.
Had to sit in J-Man's lap for that to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Tell me what he wants for Christmas.
That's not creepy. All right.
Austin thinks it's funny too.
Hey, who doesn't, right? All right, so let's talk a little bit about the final game of the NCAA football season.
Yeah, that's what it was—a butt whooping.
Yeah, it was. Yep. So Alabama went against Clemson and got stopped a little bit, 44-16.
Yeah, Alabama kept it close, in the first quarter. Then second quarter, Clemson kind of pulled away. I think they went for it. Was it a fake field goal for that? And I think Saban kind of panicked a little bit, trying to keep up.
All right, so yeah, even the announcers on TV said they were going to be a fake. I mean, their kicker wasn't that good of a kicker this year. He missed extra points a lot. You line up for a 40-plus. When you're lining up for a 40-plus field goal, and then you have against a base cover 2 defense, usually doesn't end up too well.
Obviously, I've heard it out there that now this is the end of Alabama's dynasty. I don't think at all that's the case, but you're correct. For the first time in as far back as I can remember, absolutely outcoached, and they had no answer for a lot of stuff Clemson was doing, and they definitely hit the panic button some. Y'all referred to the fake field goal. It was ridiculous. Even if it's 4th and 2 and you're going to pull that fake field goal, I can see sort of that run up the gut fake they pulled, but it had no shot. Well, it was 4th and 7, right? It had no shot. It was. I don't know what in the world happened, but it did not look like a Saban coach team, and that didn't look like a Saban approved play.
Right. I mean, you have your kicker out there playing your fullback. In
Yeah,
that spot,
it was very strange. But Clemson's for real. They had a lot to do with the outcome. They obviously played awesome. Their quarterback's awesome. Sweeney's an awesome game planner, and that showed. For sure. But yeah, they were out coached and outplayed, and we saw the result.
Well, I think it almost made it look like that Dabo was the boogeyman versus Saban's was everybody else's boogeyman. I called Clemson a long time ago that this team is going to be a tough team, tough out. I picked them to win the championship this year. It made me look pretty smart. But I mean, this team. I mean, the NCAA now is it a 2-team race versus Alabama and everybody else? So is it now Clemson, Alabama?
Absolutely. I would dare to say the next at least 2 years, maybe 3 years, we're going to see this matchup again. And you've heard people talking about they're sick of seeing this matchup. Sorry about your luck. it's going to happen again because these two teams are just head and shoulders above everybody else. They keep bringing in recruits, and like I say, I dare to say the next 2 or 3 seasons we're going to see this rematch again, and I don't think there's much anybody can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a revolving. I mean, you look at the teams, even the starters. I mean, you had starters on defense on both sides, especially in the skill positions. A lot of times you have a senior laden, but upperclassmen laden line on both sides, and they just keep on reloading. They all get 4 and 5 star recruits out of the D line. I think those positions take a little bit longer to mature in the college level, but the skill positions, they keep on getting the greatest guys out there, so they keep on rebuilding in that aspect and start a lot of freshmen on the outside in the skills, and on the inside, it's laden with seniors and juniors every year.
Yeah, it may be a different story next year. We were saying the same thing about Tua last year when he went off in the playoff game. He just came off injury, so he may not have been completely 100% because he didn't have his best game, especially in the first half. Threw some big picks, but kudos to Clemson's defense, man, because when they needed to stop, especially on 4th down in the red zone, they got it.
Well, I think it's important to see too that both offense and defensive lines was controlled by Clemson, which hasn't happened to a Saban coach team in a long time since he first got to Alabama when they were like 7 and 5. So I mean they haven't been faced with somebody that's going to stand up to them and punch them in the mouth and say, "We're here with you." They got athletes all across the field that can match up with them personnel to personnel, and they haven't seen that all year.
And another point of view, you could look at it as obviously. Alabama's coaching situation's a revolving door. They're such good coaches. Kirby Smart, Pruitt, even Lane Kiffin. He's a good coach. He's a butthead, but he's a good coach. And they're constantly rotating coaches out of that place. How much impact did that have?
Well, that's true. Even this year, they lost 3 of their offensive coaches already. The quarterback coach just went to University of Miami as their offensive coordinator, so that's they're down to their tight end coach and their running back coach left on their offensive side of the football this year.
They still got Butch Jones.
The intern.
Nobody wants Butch Jones.
So is he actually on staff now?
No.
Is he still an intern?
I think he left. He's going to coordinator somewhere.
But I thought he was an intern there. I didn't think he was an actual coach.
But that's got something to do with it as well. But like I say, the thought that Alabama's done after this, they took a butt whooping. There's no doubt about it. But they're still head and shoulders leader of the pack as far as the SEC West and the conference as a whole, actually. And, this is going to be some huge motivation for Saban. The guy does not like to lose. So, who knows that next year they don't come out and, have a point to prove that, y'all can't just beat us down and think we're going to, disappear into the shadows somewhere.
Well, it's not the first time they beat them either. I mean, since the playoffs have been going on, they're 2-2.
2 out of 3, yeah.
Yeah, and, so they're 2-2. And they won 2 out of 3 in the finals, but 2 out of 2 total. So I mean, not like they've been able to stand up to Bama. It's pretty much the only team out there that can say that they stood up to Bama over the last 4 years. To be honest with you.
Yep. But I was sure happy it turned out that way. I did call Alabama winning just because. Alabama is a really good football team, but it tickled me pink to see Clemson put that tail kicking on them.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody would expect either team to win. I think the shock was just how
it was
bad they
dominating.
got beat, how much they got dominated.
It was dominating.
All right, so let's move on a little bit from that subject a little bit. The XFL, which starts a week after the Super Bowl, is considering to allow players entering the league right out of high school.
It could be big. I mean, it's depending how much money they get paid. They're going to have to pay them. I bet the NCAA can stand to lose quite a bit of money this way, especially if a bunch of big names go and make them. Let's just say they get $1 million. A couple of them top players, I bet they go.
I mean, it ain't even about what they make. I mean, because they can still go to the NFL.
Yeah.
It's just the only rule is you have to be 3 years removed from.
Yeah, but they
From
can
high school.
They can go to the XFL and get paid instead of going
Yeah.
to college and not get. They can get an education, but you know.
I think it's much ado about nothing. You know, the XFL folded up and you know disappeared when it had its first go round. You know, it may impact some here and there, but I don't think it'll be much of a story after the first year, maybe two. I think it folds up and disappears again. So,
Well, I think
could be wrong.
I think it's going to end up a lot like the NCAA basketball changed their rules where they can play in the G League, and you lost a couple of players to that program to where they go to the G League or whatever for a year, but it wasn't as impactful, I think, as some people thought it was. I mean, the Zion Williams and are still those type of players still going to college, even though it may be for a year. I don't think it's going to see it impacting that much right now. If the XFL does take off and there is more money in that league eventually, where they, like Philip said, where they are making a couple $100,000 a year, that could be kind of hard to pass up for a kid out of high school, especially somebody that may live a little bit harder than some people, maybe has a kid or something that they have to take care of. That kind of factors could eventually, you know, affect some of the recruits.
It could change a lot of rules. Is it? You know, the NFL may have to look at changing their age requirement for going in because kids may not go to the NFL if they start making enough money.
Right.
Cantrell's got this wild conspiracy theory. He seems to believe that kids going to some of the big college teams are already getting paid.
Never heard that before.
That can't be real, right? No, I mean
they're student athletes.
Right. No, he's absolutely right. We know without a shadow of a doubt there's money exchanged hands for kids going to college. But like I say, I really don't see this XFL making any true impact. It may here and there, like I say, this first year or two, but I really don't think it's going to be around long enough to cause any real shakeup.
All right, so let's. Kyle Murray's reconsidering his Major League Baseball status and considering going out for the NFL draft.
Well,
How do you feel?
What's the guy's name at Arizona now? What's just got the
new
coaching job?
Kingsbury. Yeah, the guy
Kingsbury.
that got
Well, you know,
that got fired by Texas Tech, that went to USC,
right.
and then went to Arizona
Well,
Cardinals right after.
he was quoted and it's documented that he said Kyler Murray, if he had the chance, was in the position to draft the guy, that would be his number one draft pick. He said this months ago, 2 or 3 months ago.
Didn't they just draft a quarterback last year?
Well, I mean, now he's in the position. Is he going to follow through with it? He may very well do it. I don't think, he's a really good quarterback, and, he may even be better than Baker Mayfield. I don't know if he is or not, but I really think his heart is kind of dedicated to baseball, but you never know. Money speaks loud and clear a lot of times. So
Well, yeah, and I'm scared for him because he's only 5'9" and 180 pounds, and that's you're taking a quarterback position where you're getting hit. I mean, it's one thing to get hit by a
especially
college
at Arizona.
guy. Yeah, you're going to get hit at Arizona, and you're getting hit. I mean, college guys, yeah, some of them are big, and you got some that can play in the NFL right now. But when you're in the NFL and you got 300-pound guys that are running 5 flats that can bench press a bus, and they're hitting you,
And
it's a little bit different.
They run just as fast as you.
Oh yeah,
But I do think it's going to, it's going to perk his ears up and take a look. But I really think he is going to do the baseball route.
yeah, go ahead, Pete.
Good luck to him. 'Cause a lot of players bust out in baseball. I mean, it's a tough sport to crack, and it usually if you're good, you get brought up when you're about 24. It's very rare for a guy to get brought up, at 22 and be at an all-star level,
Yeah, well, look at that.
And
going back and
they
go
pretty
ahead.
much own you until you're 28. So wherever he's at, he's going to be there unless they trade him. So
Yeah, and looking at some of his scouting reports and what he's very raw, talented wise. He's a plus outfielder. Got a great arm. He may stick around the league as a center field type player just because of his athleticism, but he's got to learn how to hit, which is not always a great thing.
Hey, I'm just telling you, that jet in the NFL looks a whole lot better than the bus in the minor leagues.
No, it does, but so does not getting hit by 300-pound guys all day either.
He can always play both.
I don't think he's good enough to play both. I don't think he's that type of player to be that athletic. I mean, he's a great athlete, but I don't think he's good enough at football or good enough at baseball to be able to play both at the same time.
It's hard to be in quarterback, dude. You got to study so much.
Like
I don't see
Deion
it.
did.
Yeah, Deion receiver.
He played the.
But yeah, Deion and Bo, but they were both crazy athletes compared to. I mean, Kyle Murray's not a bad athlete, but at the same time,
Bo was a natural athlete.
Right. All right. So moving on, like we said, Tim Tebow does get engaged. The former Miss 2017 Miss Universe, Demi Leigh Peters. I guess she was from South Africa, if I'm not mistaken, where she's from. So good on them. Congratulations to those two.
And, as much as I hated Tebow as a football player, especially because what he did to my poor Vols time and time again, he is a good stand-up guy, outspoken Christian. Do not have a problem in the world with that or him as a person in general. So good for him. I wish him all the luck, and I want him to be successful, especially now that he's not gator chomping and kicking the Vols' butt anymore.
Well, it's totally like the anti-Urban Meyer. And they played, the coach he played for. It's so crazy, and it's so hard to hate Tim Tebow as a person, even though you hate where he was at and who he played for. It's like one of those things. Like, yeah, but he's a Gator. I mean, come on. He plays for Urban Meyer.
Oh man, that stupid jump pass broke my heart. But like I say, that's. He is a good person, and I like seeing good people succeed like that. So,
yeah, so good on him. All right, so that kind of wraps up our coverage for the NCAA football this year. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about some of the coaching changes as they come up and kind of work into the spring games a little bit as that starts to happen and all that good fun stuff later on in the week.
All right, and we're back with a little Front Porch Sports Entertainment here, and according to our lead man, Steve, we're going to get a little NCAA men's basketball convo going, and I'm all right with that. I love a little college basketball. So,
and welcome to conference play, where we start to get a picture on the moving into March, especially for the Power 5 conferences, so where these teams kind of lay out. So what much changes in the top 4 or so, I guess, from last week? Duke State at 1. They did beat Clemson and Wake Forest 68-87 and 65-87, respectfully. I don't think those any surprise for anybody.
Wake Forest, the beginning of that game was a tough game. It was very surprising to see Wake hang with them there, but obviously, Duke woke up and took control and put a beat down on them. But there for a little while at least, it looked like it might be a good game.
Yeah, talent-wise, I think that Duke is just so far ahead of those teams right now. Pretty much everybody in not only the conference but the NCAA right now.
Country,
it's just tough to beat those guys. You're gonna have to get them on a bad night and kind of outshoot them. So going from that, Michigan stays in the number 2 spot. They did beat number 21 Indiana 63-74. They also beat Illinois 69-79.
What's their coach name? Not Boeheim. How do you pronounce his name?
I can't tell you anybody's
Good
name.
grief, I can't remember. Anyway, he's been up there in Ann Arbor for a long time, and he is a good coach, and those guys are a true threat. But like you say, we're in conference play now, and Big Ten has some pretty decent teams, and so they've got their work cut out for them. But right now, they are definitely doing their thing.
I'm gonna take a stab at his name. Baleen, John Baleen, Baleen, Beilin, Balein.
Bylin. Anyway.
Bylin, that sounds familiar. Yeah, they're good. You know, they're still putting whooping on people. Indiana was a big win, another ranked win for them. It's going to be interesting when they play Michigan State. I think that's going to be their only challenge. You know, and that's
Ohio State's playing pretty good, and Michigan State will have something for them. So yeah, I mean, you know, you never know on some strange Tuesday night when they're not, you know, totally bought into what's going on. Somebody may sneak up on them, but they are a good team, and I'm not taking that away from them.
And one of the teams I think may be the most athletic in the country is Tennessee. Hold on to the number 3 spot by beating Georgia 59-96, and also defeated Missouri 63-87.
Yeah, they're just rolling right now. I don't even think Williams and Schofield had their best game against Missouri. I don't know, they had 4 points in the first half.
Yeah, well, I think that's what Grant ended up with, only 4 points and fouled out. Schofield, I think, you know, caught a little bit of fire there in the second, and I think he did break double digits, but is nowhere near what either of them are capable of. You know, Turner is reigning 6th man of the year. Had that nagging shoulder injury and had tried to make a comeback earlier in the season. Finally did earlier this week, and picked up where he left off and helped with our 2 big scorers not having their best performance. He was, 3 for 3 or 3 for 4 behind the arc, and got to the foul line a couple of times. And it's a big help, you know. He's an awesome point guard coming off the bench, which frees up Bone and Bowden to play off the ball some, and both those guys have proven that they're capable of scoring.
I think Bone's been much as well as Alexander, but Bones really surprised me. We all knew Alexander could be good. He'd get his thumb out of his butt.
Bone's
been playing out of his. He's been a pretty good point guard.
He steadily improved the past 3 years, and this year, off-season wise, he has taken a huge step and becoming not just a true point guard because he can dish and drive, and but he's a true scoring threat now. So
they're gonna be hard to handle.
Tennessee's okay. Fulkerson has. You know, he showed some pretty good flashes early in the season, but past few games he's not looked great. But his defense is a definite help, and rebounding is a really good help. Pons is taking a step back, but you know, this team, it's just got so many weapons, and somebody steps up or 2 guys step up when the other guys aren't having a great game, or the guys you expect to be the leaders. As far as a team goes, this team is, to me, the best in the country.
They get you
top to bottom.
They get you both ways. They get you inside. They get you outside. They can play good defense.
They can speed it up. They can slow it down. They play physical. They don't care. You know, they don't care who's leading the team. You know, they're not glory hogs at all. They're just a really impressive team right now.
All right, so moving on from that, Virginia stays undefeated, remains at number 4, taking out Florida State 62-65, and Boston College 56-83.
Defense, man. That defense is just nasty. Bennett has, you know, proven himself as an awesome coach, and once again, he's put another great product on the court this year. They're a true threat. There's no doubt about it. Not just in the ACC. I'm talking about nationwide. These guys are a good team, and if you think they're an easy out, you're lost your mind, because that defensively especially is a tough team.
We're going to find out here in a couple weeks. They got to play Virginia Tech, and then they got to turn around and play Duke the next game. So I think that's on the 19th and the 15th. So.
And that's they go to Cameron, or?
Yeah, they go to Cameron.
Yeah, welcome to the ACC, boys.
Yes.
And like I say, they're up for the challenge because they are a good squad.
Maybe they did win it last year, so you can never tell. All right, so Gonzaga moves up 2 spots to number 5 after beating Santa Clara 48-91, and they also beat Pacific. Let me get the score. I didn't get that score for you last night. But go ahead and talk about it while I get that score for you, and I'll find it.
Of course, the two teams they just beat is nowhere near impressive. It's teams they should have beat, and obviously did. I think it has a lot to do with Kansas getting upset is the reason they jumped. And they're still a threat. Don't get me wrong. The kid from Japan is a monster, really good player, one of the best in the country. But like we say, their in-conference play and their schedule got easier, compared to some of the non-conference teams they've played.
Yeah, I'm looking at their schedule now. It don't look like anybody's going to give them a challenge for the rest of the year.
And they beat Pacific 36-67. But like you said, but like you said, it's like a girls' high school team sometimes. But
I think me and Jairus could put up 36. We shot up on them.
I don't know about all that. Let's not carried away now.
Don't underestimate my three games strong, buddy.
It may be 120 to 36. My God, we get 36.
But yeah, they're a really good team. And now they do look up by not having their opponents aren't near as tough. So they're going to be right there in the hunt too.
Well, yeah, that kind of happens for all the mid-majors this time of year. You start getting a better picture of where your power conferences are going to stand at throughout the tournaments, and the mid-majors kind of get a break before the tournament. So that kind of just how it goes. Besides, maybe the Big East has some pretty tough schools in there, but for the most part, most of your mid-majors are 2 or 3 teams, and that's it. All right, so Michigan State moves up from 8 to 6. They did knock off Ohio State 86-77 and Purdue 59-77.
Been doing it impressively too. They had a big win against Ohio State. Somebody who Jared said last week usually gives them fits. Cassius Winston's been playing really good. Nick Ward stepped up this year, and I think they've got Langford back.
He wasn't back yet, but he should be.
So they've done all this without Langford, their third best option. Probably their second, depending on who they play. But
yeah. They're going to be right there. He's got this game figured out. He's a great coach, great motivator, great game planner. They're going to be just fine. They do have some weapons, but they are in a tough conference, especially with Michigan leading the way in that conference. As far as big picture goes, we all know they're going to be in the big dance. Depends on, how well they finish out the season and their conference tournament goes as far as their seeding. That's yet to be seen, but they're going to be right there. And, you're not going to look forward to playing them no matter who you are.
Absolutely, yeah, and good for Izzo finally figuring out after how many long has he been there. No, he's been a good coach for a while there, just pulling some chain there. Kansas does fall from 5 to 7 after they get beat by Iowa State, 60-77, but they did turn around and beat TCU 68-77. TCU was 25 at the time, so and TCU has been playing pretty good. They haven't played a lot of people, but they've been winning, so.
What? And I still think Kansas is a really good team, but the thing about that was they didn't just get beat by Iowa State. They got handled. They got exposed. Anybody's capable of having an off night and going up against a team that played out of their mind, because I don't think Iowa State they're not a bad program, but they played way better than they actually are that night. But the deal is, then Iowa State turns around and Baylor handles them. And, I'm not saying, that means Baylor's better than Ohio State. I don't believe that at all. But, that does bring up some question marks for Kansas, they may right the ship and be in the Final Four no problem. But it looked like they need to figure some stuff out, and this may very well be the wake-up call it takes for them to figure it out. But they're not as stout in my mind as I previously thought. But
Well, and it may cost them a seed when they go back and look at how they're seeding people. They'd be like, Iowa State, really?
Yeah.
So it could cost them in the end a little bit. Texas Tech jumps all the way out from number 8 to the number 11 spot. They did defeat Kansas State 57-63 and also defeated Oklahoma 59-66.
and you said they went from what to what?
They went from number 11 all the way up to 8.
To 8. Yep. Well, we've been praising them pretty well, I believe.
We talked about it a little bit last week.
Every time we've talked about the college men's game, they're right there with Kansas now. I think makes them look like on a pretty level field with Kansas, and they're a really good team. So,
when your only loss is to Duke, you look pretty good.
yeah. That's not a bad L to take.
If you're gonna take a loss, you might as well take. That's a pretty good one. Virginia Tech does slide up one spot up to number 9. They defeated Boston College 66-77, and they also defeated Georgia Tech 49-52.
That's not impressive, is it? Putting up 52. But
holding somebody to 49 is not bad either.
Absolutely,
so.
Yeah.
You're going to have those nights where you can't shoot sometimes.
So you talk about hopping in conference play and a lot tougher road ahead of you. They've got it.
Oh, yeah.
But looks like, appear to be a pretty decent squad. So I can't, really speak to how good or bad I think they'll do. But as of right now, they're doing their thing. So.
And they're still the number 2 team in Virginia. So, so Nevada drops a game, and they drops them from the number 4 spot all the way back, or from the number 6 spot all the way back to number 10. They lost to New Mexico 58-85. They did beat San Jose State 53-92.
Told you they weren't that good.
All right, Fee. Go ahead, Fee. Go ahead. Let us off. Tell us what's up, Fee.
They ain't had to play nobody to tell you they wasn't no good.
I still think they're all right.
But you know what's cool with New Mexico State earlier this week? They also won a game the last second after a missed field goal by like a half-court shot and win the game after that.
Right.
So they're on a roll, man. New Mexico State's going to the Final Four, I'm telling you.
I think Nevada's still going to be just fine. I don't think I probably praised them a little more than I should have. But, and I don't see them a lead 8-bound or anything like that. But at the same time, I don't think you want your team playing them when it comes down to the big dance.
I wouldn't be shocked if they end up in the Sweet 16 or something, though, somewhere
Maybe,
in that range.
possibly, yeah.
Some other games of note last week. You had Alabama beating Kentucky 75-77, dropping them back to 18th.
Yep.
Marquette takes out Xavier 52-70.
We ain't gonna talk about it.
You can talk about it. Go ahead.
We're not gonna.
Go ahead. I got paused. Nobody said nothing, so I moved on. We'll back it up.
Alabama's a good coach team. You got to look out for Avery Johnson. He's going to have them ready in a couple of years, I'm telling you. SEC's going to be tough.
He is. He's a really good coach. And I can't take nothing away from him because obviously they won. But, Kentucky's the definition of Jekyll and Hyde right now. You never know who's going to show up. But it was funny seeing Alabama grab that win, and Alabama can hold their own. They'll be okay.
Hey, they got a stretch coming up, and they don't come out of that. It's they're going to have to beat Tennessee twice and go deep in the SEC tournament to get them a tournament spot.
They'll be.
You mean Avery Johnson? He's like, well, the boys came out, they played really good, and we're really trying hard. And no, I like Avery. He's a good guy.
He won at the NBA level, and he's winning at college too. So.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. I like Avery. I like making fun of him too, though.
And we talked about it. I guess the first episode we did where we started talking about men's college basketball. The SEC is loaded with good coaching talent.
Yeah.
They've got good teams as well and good players, but I mean, from Avery Johnson, Tom Crean's going to figure it out in Georgia eventually. Frank Martin, Barnes, Pearl, and Calipari, which Fee's favorite guy. You know, the SEC has a lot of good coaches, man.
No, they're I think they're right up there with the Big Ten. I think
they've kind of creeped up on
them.
They
kind of creeped up on a little bit. I think ACC is still on front of everybody right now. The Big Ten's in the SEC are pretty close. I think you could sweep those guys out any given time.
I think it all depends how Auburn does. Auburn's kind of been pooping the bed here.
We'll
lately.
get there.
So
yeah, number 6, Marquette does defeat Xavier 52-70. Anybody?
No, I don't know.
Marquette's okay.
Yeah, Marquette. I mean, Xavier's a good, not a bad program either. It's a good win for them.
Probably both tournament. Not probably. I'd put pretty good money saying both will be tournament teams. So,
number 19 Houston beats Penny's Memphis Tigers 77-90. Then falls to Temple. Next game 69-73.
I had honestly kind of hopped on Penny's bandwagon a little bit. You know, I'm not a Memphis fan by any means, but I'd been rooting for him to get that program back up on par, and then he pulled that crybaby bull crap after the Tennessee game and pissed me off pretty good. So,
it's not so bad. He did after game. He did it days after.
Yeah, he doubled down on it. So go Cougars! Beat up on Penny there. Get him back in shape.
All right, number 12 North Carolina does some in-state crime by beating North Carolina State at home 90-92.
We've got a North Carolina fan over here.
I think it just kind of let them know that let North Carolina State know that they're the number 3 team in the state now.
Maybe number 4. Wake Forest. No.
Yeah. North Carolina's a hard team to figure out. I'm excited to see what they do in conference play because you know some nights they play really well against ranked teams and some nights they don't. So I don't.
And it's unfamiliar territory for North Carolina because they're always at the top of the conversation. You know, them and Duke both, and this year they've kind of slid and lost some they probably shouldn't have lost, but. You know, that may be a good thing. Williams, he's going to have those boys coached up, and they're going to be right there in the hunt. I have no doubt in my mind. But at this point, it's strange to see them not, you know, consistently being, you know, top 10, top 5, top team like they usually are.
Well, North Carolina does historically play better as the year goes on, too. They kind of get better. They kind of peak around the tournament / ACC tournament / the March Madness.
Getting into mid-March.
So they kind of peak at that time usually. So I totally think they're going to be in the mix. They'll be a top 10 team, at least a 2 or a 3 seed. I would think.
I don't know, man. They got Virginia, and then they got at the end of the year they got Duke twice. It's going to be. They're going to have to pull some stuff to get that top 10 ranking.
But are you going to really think that they're going to be 12 teams that's going to be better than North Carolina at the end of the year?
It's all about what if you lose to Duke. If you lose 2 games there at the end of the year, you're not going to be a top 10 team.
If it's only to Duke, though, I mean,
like what Steve was getting at, if they do climb and get better as the season draws kind of near the end, and they always give Duke fits. You know, there has been times when North Carolina's been down and Duke's absolutely been the more dominant team, and North Carolina still sneaks in and gets an upset on them. So those games at the end of the season could be very, very interesting. I wouldn't put it past them to at least split the games. You know, they would probably have to win at home, and then Cameron Indoor is a tough place to play. It's a daggum little hot box. You know, it's small venue, but and those Duke crazies are on top of you when you go down there and play. But I could definitely see North Carolina splitting at least and getting Duke one of those matchups.
All right, so moving on from that game, you had number 14 Mississippi State falls to unranked South Carolina 82-87.
Surprise! I ain't watched a lot of Mississippi State, but it's Weird.
Frank Martin's a really good coach, but Mississippi State had put up some pretty impressive games this year. So definitely surprised that it happened. Maybe it was just a fluke, but maybe Mississippi State's not as stout as I previously believed. I don't know. We'll find out.
And good news for Fee, number 19 Buffalo routes Toledo 80-110.
In case you didn't know, Cantrell Fee is for some reason a closet Buffalo, Buffalo Bulls, right? Ain't they the Bulls? He's for some reason a Buffalo Bulls fan this year. So
He was a Bills fan too this year too.
yeah, he was. He all over Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Slopping it.
They're probably okay. I do believe once them or Nevada step in and have to play some of these big programs, good, solid programs, we've already talked about most of them tonight. I believe they'll be in trouble then, but you never know. They could be your little Cinderella, maybe.
Number 20, Iowa State was unable to take hold of the momentum and falls to an unranked Baylor, 70-73. I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, but
Had a hangover possibly because it was a huge win, not just because they won, but literally was a huge win. They beat Kansas down, so it was surprising after the performance they put up against the Jayhawks, and then shit in the bed against Baylor. I don't know how much stock we should put in it, but it was surprising.
number 13, Florida State comes off their loss to Virginia. It puts up a disappointing performance against Miami at home, but they do come back and eventually win that game, 62-68.
They're going to be okay. They're in the toughest conference in the nation. But they still are a really good team, and taking a loss to a very stout Virginia team is not the worst you could, end up with. But I still think they're going to be sniffing around and hunting around, and Sweet 16 appearance wouldn't surprise me at all with them.
Yeah, they probably ain't gonna be okay tomorrow because they gotta play Duke at 2.
Well, and they're built a lot like maybe not as skill wise yet because they have some younger players, but they're very athletic and long, like a lot of the Tennessee team is kind of built, kind of that same mold. So it may be another year for them to really gel and put that team together.
And they like to play up tempo, and
Yep.
they've got some shooters, so they'll be okay.
Number 11, Auburn falls to unranked Mississippi State, 62-82.
Mississippi State or Ole Miss?
I think it was Mississippi State. I'll double check though.
Was it?
Ole Miss.
I think it
Miss?
was Ole
Okay.
Miss. Yeah, Ole Miss is kind of hit a groove here as of late. I don't think they're any real threat, but Auburn's kind of in the same boat with North Carolina at this point. That I think it's proven that they're a good program and capable, but they've hit a little slide here, and even the games they've won, some of them have been not real impressive. A win's a win, but there again, I think they will be okay as well. But interesting to see them, not play as good as they probably should be.
And I feel it could be my fault that I picked them to win the SEC,
The old
so it could be on
jinx.
me. But they haven't played up to what people thought they were going to be this year, or
What they're capable
they're
of
capable
playing.
of yet.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll get it together and see what happens. Let's see. So Ohio State does follow up a loss to Michigan State, and they get beat by Rutgers, 61-64.
I think that was definitely a hangover because watching that Michigan State game, they were in it every minute of it. Michigan State did pull away very late in the game to make it a decent look as far as the scoreboard goes, and I think they definitely were on a hangover coming off of that game where they pour their heart and soul into it. And Rutgers probably isn't the worst team in the country, but Ohio State's definitely better than them, and just not a good look getting beat by the Scarlet Knights.
No, it's never
Ohio
good.
State hasn't beat a ranked team all year. Just so y'all know. Just throw that out there.
Thanks, Fee. I appreciate that.
Well, it's awful weird for a number 16th ranked team to be.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. Could be a little name recognition ranking there.
But that coach they have now, can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I think he's going to have that program doing well over the next couple of years too. And Ohio State, they're no slouch at all. They're never the greatest, but they're always pretty respectable, and I think they're only going to get better.
Who was that big ugly dude that had? Was it Odin? That he played?
Odin, yeah.
Yeah, big ugly
Greg,
caveman looking that beat our butt.
he's the healthiest guy ever.
Poor fella.
Stays healthy.
All right, so that kind of wraps up everything for last week's games. I guess we can kind of go over some of the games coming up next week so you guys can look out for.
Tennessee goes to Florida tomorrow. I predict basically the same thing that they just did against Missouri because their style of play is very similar. They like to slow you down, very defensive oriented, but Tennessee's, that chameleon. They can basically play, adapt and play to whatever you're trying to force them into, and I'd say 20-25 point domination by the Vols again.
You have Virginia going to Clemson.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Louisville going to North Carolina, which could be an interesting game.
That is an interesting game.
Yeah, Louisville's had some pretty good performances this year, and then there again they've been
Have
one
some
of
pretty
those
crappy ones too.
Yeah, one of those that real head scratchers. Why the heck didn't y'all show up? But with North Carolina being so back and forth like they are right now, it could be a very good game. But I'd have to imagine Tar Heels get them a W.
Pittsburgh goes into North Carolina State. Miami, Ohio goes into Buffalo.
Buffalo all the way, baby.
What do you think, Fee?
Route.
A route.
Route.
Got it. Caught it harder here first.
Freaking Miami, Ohio just quits at halftime. Don't even come out.
Yeah, they don't come back out.
All right, so you have Kansas State going to Iowa State, which could be a decent game.
It could be.
Ole Miss with the in-state rival Mississippi State.
Could be a very good game.
Yeah, I'm picking Ole Miss.
Is that tomorrow?
Yes.
That is tomorrow, yes. These are all tomorrow's games.
I'm going to take Ole Miss in that one.
Or Saturday's games,
hot.
unless we get the podcast up tonight, which I doubt.
Right.
No.
He's going to have Duke at Florida State.
I don't think Duke's going to have a problem.
At Florida State, that could, but yeah, I mean Zion, he's stupid good. Florida State is a good program, but I see Duke, if it is close, doing another one of those pull away lates and getting 15-point victory or something.
Another interesting game, I think, is going to be Texas Tech at Texas.
I think Texas Tech's fine.
I do too.
I think they're going to be good, but it's always tough to win at Texas, though. They can play.
And Texas has had some decent performances this year. They got the Tar Heels earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Texas, they're not just a pushover, but Texas Tech's playing really well.
Seton Hall goes to Marquette, number 21 ranked.
Could be a very good game.
Could be.
But I'd say Marquette's got them.
Seton Hall beat somebody good. Who the heck did they beat? It was somebody big.
Yeah, Who was that? Was it?
Take a look here.
Kentucky? Yeah, okay. It'd be Kentucky.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to dig that in there.
Number 25 TCU takes on number 23 Oklahoma.
Probably be a good game, especially with no football on tomorrow. So that'll be yeah, there's football. Yeah, playoffs. I'm sorry,
NFL's on tomorrow.
I was stuck on
NCAA.
college.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ohio State goes to Iowa, number 16th Ohio State, excuse me.
16 Ohio State.
Ohio State goes to unranked Iowa.
Not ranked.
But they are 13-3, so
Could be okay.
Should be a good, decent game. Number 7, Kansas goes into Baylor.
Well, Iowa State beat Kansas. Baylor beat Iowa State, so Baylor's better, I believe.
Right, that's how it works, right?
I don't see that happening, but
Georgia goes into number 11, Auburn.
Auburn better get their head out of their butts.
Crane's a good coach.
He is a good coach, and that one kid from Georgia was the only one that showed up against Tennessee. What Ogadian or Ojimama or whatever his name was. He was very impressive that game.
Yeah,
but surely Auburn will get them.
Where you talked about number 3, Tennessee going to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
DePaul's going to St. John's, which
Probably
is 24
a good
ranked.
game.
Would be a good game, yeah. DePaul's a little bit down this year at only 9-5, but
I think St. John's gonna beat the poop off of
With Mullins on the bench.
You got number 10 Nevada going to Fresno State.
Fresno State all day.
Surely Nevada will.
Well, Fresno State is 12-3 this year, so.
Yeah.
Wichita State does go to number 17 Houston.
Oh, is Houston up that high?
Yep.
Really?
Well, they were undefeated till they lost. Who they get beat by?
I don't know, they're 15-1.
Yeah, they just got beat last week.
By a top-ranked school. They got beat by.
But they ain't gonna have no problem with Wichita State.
And a lot of times Wichita State's.
They got beat by Temple.
Yeah, it was bad.
Wichita State, is historically one of those that are no slouch, but
they're 5-5. They're 500 this year, so
they're having a tough season this year. So
Vanderbilt goes into Kentucky.
Kentucky should be fine.
I hate to say it, go Doors, but yeah, I'd say Kentucky's got that one okay.
And number 5 Gonzaga goes to San Francisco.
Yeah, blowout.
For Sunday's games, you have Michigan State at number 6 going into Penn State.
Should be okay.
And then you have Northwestern going to Michigan at number 2.
Boom, boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah, Michigan State opening Big Ten game beat Northwestern down. No, it wasn't really a beat down, but I'd say Michigan's more than capable of running away with that one.
On your Monday night games, you have Nebraska going to number 22 Indiana.
Surely Indiana will pull it out, but
they got similar records, and
yeah,
I know Nebraska was ranked about 22 before, so it could be whatever. Syracuse goes into Duke.
Syracuse in there. You talk about a team that comes on late in the season. That's Syracuse, so it's not their time yet.
They have sneaky though.
They are sneaky sometimes. Number 13 Florida State goes to Pitt.
We talked about that one. Florida State, anyway.
Yeah. Texas goes to number 7 Kansas.
There again, you never know. Kansas has been unimpressive even in their wins here as of late. So I would have to imagine they'll still win, but it wouldn't be just a huge shocker if the Longhorns didn't have something for them.
Then on your Tuesday night games, you have Arkansas going to Knoxville to face number 3 Tennessee.
Tennessee should still be fine.
Blowout.
Then you have Florida at Mississippi State.
I vote we get tickets. You work Tuesday, Country? I was going to say, man, I could, on those Tuesday night games, I bet I could get us seats. Y'all want to go? You work Tuesday?
I do, but I can take it off.
Well, let me see what I can do. I'll get back to you. I'd like to go up there and check that out.
All right. Florida. I said Florida goes to Mississippi State, right?
Yeah.
Kentucky goes to Georgia.
I'd say Kentucky. Georgia's not there yet, so I'd say Georgia will be or Kentucky will be all right.
Buffalo's going to Western Michigan for a blowout again, right, Fee?
Dang right they are.
West Virginia goes into number 25 TCU.
West Virginia's kind of fell off, ain't they? Weren't they ranked really?
Yeah, they're
Early in the
8-7.
year?
They're like 5.
Do they still have Huggy? Is Huggy still at West Virginia?
I don't know.
I have no
You
idea.
know their coach. He's pretty.
But I know they were
I
ranked.
think he's still
They
there.
were ranked like 12 or 13th at the beginning of the year, and then now they're not. Obviously, because they're 8-7.
Yeah.
But if he's still there, he's probably not going to be there much longer.
I don't know. He's a pretty good coach.
Probably I think it's probably the best matchup of the week is going to be Virginia Tech at Virginia.
Could be very good. What night you say that was?
That's Tuesday night.
Tuesday. Yeah. If we don't go to Thompson Bowling, I will guarantee I'll be tuning in to check that one out.
And you have NC State at 15 going to Wake.
NC State should
Blowout. Yeah.
Marquette going to Georgetown. Should be an interesting
That
game.
should be good.
What did we watch there? St. John's, right? The St.
Yeah.
John's Georgetown game was good. Georgetown's not awesome, but I think they are respectable. So
They got that white boy.
yeah, they got
What is it, McClung?
yes,
Mac McClung, that's
Yeah.
his boy. Gonna be good. He's
Could
gonna
be.
play.
could be pretty good.
He ain't afraid to shoot the ball.
Number 10, Nevada goes into Boise State.
Surely Nevada will handle that, but you never know.
And then Notre Dame goes to North Carolina.
What is Notre Dame doing this year? I've not paid a lick of attention to Notre
10
Dame.
and 5.
10
Yeah.
and 5.
They're not
0 and
horrible.
2. It's ACC.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see how they are. I mean, they're going to be probably 8th to 9th in the ACC.
Get in on their name alone, as far as big dance goes.
North Carolina will be
Wednesday
fine.
night, you got Creighton at St. John's.
Could be good.
Auburn at Texas A&M.
Auburn.
Surely Tigers will blow them out.
Kansas State at number 23 Oklahoma.
Could be decent.
And then number 20 Iowa State at number 8 Texas Tech.
Red Raiders better have their minds right, but I'd say they handle it fairly easy.
And then number 17 Houston goes to Southern Methodist University, SMU.
Houston should be fine.
Houston.
Yeah. Thursday night games, you got Michigan State going to Nebraska.
Sparty.
Yeah.
And you got Loyola Mary going to number 5 Gonzaga.
I'd say Zags are just fine on that one, too.
And then Friday, you got Maryland going to Ohio State. And Eastern Michigan suffered an humiliating loss to Buffalo.
Got that right.
And that wraps up pretty much all the games next week up until next Saturday.
Pretty good matchups.
No, it's going to be good. The tournament play always puts makes the beginning of the year, and then the tournament's always good. It kind of slows off in December a little bit from all the time off and the
That's yet again,
warm-up games.
I've mentioned it, after football season dwindles out, college basketball is definitely my next go-to, and it's so awesome because during the week, there's some really good matchups you just listed off there, so it really tickles me that I get to, come home from work and watch some good basketball.
Absolutely.
Basically every night.
No, every night there's ranked games all night this week, so it should be a really good week. If you are a fan of NCAA men's football, you should definitely check that out.
You mean basketball?
Basketball, sorry. Okay, so moving on, let's talk a little bit about the NBA basketball season. Talk a little bit about the All-Star voting has been early released of what's going on right now. So far in the West, your top 3 front court players, I'll go ahead and do the top 4, is LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Paul George, and Kevin Durant. And I'll go ahead and say Anthony Davis is the top vote-getting center. And on the guard side, you have Steph Curry, then Derrick Rose, then James Harden, then Russell Westbrook.
Derrick Rose.
That's a crime, man.
I mean, I know he's resurging his career, but he's still not even an all-star.
Yeah, but facts are facts, and Harden is the best player probably in the league at this point, without a doubt. In the West, he's playing the best right now.
It wouldn't surprise me at number 2.
And that doesn't affect the voting doesn't affect the starting, right? So
Well, it's half of it. So you're going to have half of it, and then you're going to have the
starting
players,
too.
starters. Yeah.
Well, they have a draft, don't they?
No, but you have your
The two top vote getters are captains, right?
right.
And then they have a draft from they can pick each side.
True. Yeah. Okay.
So I don't.
So it won't affect the starting. So
No.
I don't care if Harden's fifth in the voting. He's going to be starting the All-Star game, right? Is basically
he deserves it. Yeah.
what
So-
I'm getting at. I mean, the fans, unfortunately, a lot of times don't know or have an agenda that they're trying to do. Anyway, if he gets on he gets on the team, surely whoever's coaching this deal
I mean, they have
is
Lonzo
going to have
Ball.
him on the court first.
They have Lonzo Ball at 8 in the guard voting right now, which is
that's a crime.
behind Chris Paul.
And I'm not even a Harden fan, but
Right.
it's a crime. That's just a smack in the face to
He was
the
MVP
game.
last year, and the numbers he's putting up this year has
Yeah,
just been ridiculous.
Anyway, so
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at number 2, but right, Derrick Rose is probably the biggest surprise I've ever seen. Besides that time, Michael Jordan got voted in, but it was Michael Jordan.
I mean, Derrick Rose is not having a bad year, but he's not. I mean, he's
He's not
18
even averaging
points.
over 20 points, man.
But he's got 18 points a game. He's got he's a point guard, so he's averaging like 8 assists a
yeah,
game.
he's
which
an
is not a
all-star.
bad player.
He's
not
an
a bad
all-star.
player.
That's fine. I don't
Right.
have a problem with that, but
I mean, he's not James Harden or a Westbrook or a Klay Thompson or any of those guys.
I mean, I got him above Lonzo Ball. That's it, and it's That's because I just don't want to. I don't want to hear LeVar Ball's daddy. Or
yeah,
Lonzo-
but it's
Lonzo's
not
daddy.
East-West anymore, right? Fee was right. It's
Right.
It's
It's a draft.
Okay, cool.
I wish they'd televise it. That'd be awesome.
The draft.
yeah,
that'd
that'd be badass.
be a cool way to.
Then on the East, you have Freak Geek, which I'm not even going to try his name.
The Greek freak.
The freak geek. Don't even try that.
The Greek Freak. Excuse me.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
There you go. Thank you.
Kumpo.
And then Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, and then
Embiid, man.
Embiid. And
He's
then
from
Jimmy
Africa.
Butler.
That's pretty good.
All solid players.
And then surprising, you got Vince Carter at 7.
Really?
Uh,
Wow.
No,
That's
we
where
all know why he's at 7.
that's where the fans come in.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if more
And he
fans,
can still get up.
if more fans knew he was playing, he'd be higher. But I bet a lot of people think he's retired.
Don't even know he still exists.
He's like 42 years old.
Oh, there's Vince Carter over there. Then you have on the guard side, you have Kyrie Irving, Dwayne Wade, Kemba Walker, Ben Simmons, and Victor Oladipo.
I'm surprised Wade's that high.
I am too, but
I think Kemba needs to be up there.
Kemba Walker.
Yeah.
Another shocking number is Jeremy Lin at number 8.
Nah, I definitely didn't know he was still in the league.
Yeah, I didn't either. But
Another Atlanta. Maybe that's something to do with being Atlanta. Are they stopping the stuff in the box or something? Or
I don't know.
so, but yeah.
And when is the All-Star game? Mid-February.
Usually around Valentine's Day weekend
so
sometimes.
Mid-February. Okay.
So there's still some time to get it corrected, but
Right.
I thought it was interesting some of those early numbers coming back and some of the players out there, like James Harden not being in the top 2 is pretty crazy in my opinion, being some of the numbers he's put up.
Well, like I say, I'm not a Rockets fan. I'm not even a James Harden fan, but facts are facts. The guy's the best player in the league at this point.
yeah,
Numbers prove it.
he's averaging over 33 points a game, and he's averaging over 8 assists a game. I mean, those numbers are going to dip when Chris Paul comes back, but he's pretty much put the Rockets on his back. Since,
Well, yeah, the last 15 games he's averaging 39.5 points a game and 9 assists.
Is that good? I'm not
That's
sure.
it's okay. I mean, it's you
Hey,
know.
that's Jordan numbers right there. I don't know if anybody's averaged over 30 points a game since Kobe did it. When did he do 33?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe.
I think Shaq had a couple years in the 30s and
I'm
Probably.
talking about the last.
right.
Nobody's getting close to Wilt Chamberlain's, but we can all
Well,
hope.
anyway, I think we all agree that some of that's some BS, but at the same time, he is going to make the team, and he's going to have a heck of a game because it turns out the All-Star game is offense.
Right.
Defense doesn't exist, so that bodes well for Mr. Harden to get out there and show out. So
Yeah, and Dwayne Wade being second in the East, I mean, I understand why they're doing it. His
Curtain
going away,
call.
his curtain call going away. So I'm not horribly against it, but at the same time, I hate to see somebody not make it because of it. But
right.
Dwayne Wade's a Hall of Famer, so yeah, let it slide, I guess, a little bit. One of the big games that stood out to me last week was you guys happened to see that 300-point 2 overtime game between the Thunder and the Spurs?
Heard it, didn't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty. I mean, you had 300 points scored. I think it was ended up being 150. Let me pull that game up again. Hang on.
It was 154 to 147.
Thank you. Yeah, and
Thunder were victorious.
yeah,
And we talked about it. The Spurs are on a little upward swing there, and obviously Thunder's still a really good team. So
Yeah, the Spurs have moved back into the first in the Southwest, so that's, didn't see that happening.
the Spurs
year.
won that game, by the way, 157, 140.
Oh,
140
sorry.
154 and
I
147.
apologize. Yes.
Aldridge had 56 points.
Shit, I guarantee you that's his career high.
That'd be a lot of people's career highs. Why you kidding? All right, so talk a little bit about the standings. Not a lot of changes in the playoffs.
tell me about them Nuggets.
Over the past week. Denver is still in the top spot. Golden State also stays in the number 2 spot from last week. OKC comes in at number 3.
And Boogie made his debut or is about to make it?
He's going to make it soon in a couple of
Tonight?
weeks.
No, I think
Is it?
it's in the next couple of days, I
Is
thought.
it might be, but yeah, he's
thought
supposed to
that's what I
start when he
heard.
comes in.
Yeah.
But he is number 10 in the All-Star voting, even though he hasn't played again.
It's
Must be nice.
That's ridiculous, but
Yeah. Then you have Portland at number 4. The Clippers round up number 5.
Portland at 4, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
San Antonio, does overtake Houston for the 6th spot.
Yeah, Houston dropped from 4 or 5 to all the way to 7th or something.
Well, they kind of Harden dropped off a little bit the last couple of games. Had a couple of bad poor shooting games where his shot looked flat. It may be some.
Boy's tired.
I think he's getting worn
He's
out.
got to be there.
Shooting the ball 40 times a game, man.
He's got to. Yeah, I think he's going to need some help pretty soon for him to.
Well, I don't think Eric Gordon's been playing either. It's
So-
pretty much been him and Capella, and Capella's been doing his part. But Eric Gordon being there could definitely shoot. He can shoot the ball and
Help him a little bit, yeah.
He's not been there. I don't know what's wrong. He should be back soon, though. I think.
So yeah, if they get those 2 guys back, it'll help. It'll help James Harden a little bit. He needs a rest.
Paul's supposed to come back at the end of January. I think Gordon's going to get reevaluated at the end of this week, so we'll see what they do with him. So
Yeah,
But-
so yeah, it may be time to maybe pull the old Popovich and let James Harden sit a night or two and Paul gets back.
Right. If, let's say, right now we were going into a playoff hunt or into the playoffs, Paul could play right now. This is just
Precautionary.
stuff, yeah.
Right.
So. And I understand why they're
Yeah.
doing it.
playing with the hamstring, you don't want.
But I mean, it's not something that he's absolutely, incapacitated. That
been nice if he could have played in game 6 and 7 last
yeah.
year. That would have
Right.
been nice.
Well,
But if he was in this shape last year in that situation,
Yeah.
he would have been playing.
Right.
Obviously, he couldn't play.
Right.
So
it's one of those things
Anyway.
they want to rest him so he can get.
I was
fully
just
healthy.
making sure that I understood the
Yeah, they want to
the
get.
story
It's not
correctly.
worth bringing him back this part of the season.
right.
If you're gonna
It doesn't.
it has a high risk of re-injury,
Yeah.
that same injury again.
Right. Gotcha.
All right, so moving on to the East, Milwaukee stays in the top spot ahead of Toronto.
That
Yeah.
will change. I
Most
think,
likely,
as
yeah.
the season goes on.
Once Toronto gets Kyle Lowry back there, they'll do what they were doing when he was there. He's still a good point guard. It's hard to replace 17 points a game, and Lowry assists.
Lowry's really good. I guess I've always known. He's still fairly young. I guess I've known the past couple of seasons that he's that good, but he's better than I guess I've ever acknowledged. He's a really good player.
Well, he's played in the East and he's been in Toronto, so it makes it tough to. They don't get the same following as a lot of
Right.
either teams in the East, much less, it's Toronto on top of it. So they've been
Right.
pretty historically bad. They added some pieces, they've been a lot better.
He was pretty decent at the Rockets too. He wasn't no slouch.
He's a really good player.
Then you have Indiana hanging tough in the number 3 spot. I don't know how, but they're winning.
I would. Oh
maybe
boy,
like-
that was nasty.
maybe
Speaking of Indiana,
Maybe doing stuff like that.
that was nice. I find it hard to believe that they're going to keep it up. They may very well do it, but I have to believe they will slide. Probably still make the playoffs, I guess, but I don't think they'll hold that strong of a spot as the season goes on.
I think when Philly and Boston get their stuff together, and they will, they'll be behind them at least. I don't see Brooklyn passing them or Charlotte, but
Yeah, who would have thought
Under
they would
500.
lose Paul George and a couple of those players and still have a better record than they did the year
Yeah,
before?
improve actually.
Right. Like, wow. Philadelphia stays in the 4 spot.
Hadn't heard as much drama. I'm sure it's still there.
It's still there, I think. But
I
it's-
read the other day the coach asked, "What do you see?" And Jimmy Butler told him what he saw, and I guess he might have been not so nice about it, but he kind of did ask for it.
Yeah. Huh.
So I did read that. So it's not totally Jimmy Butler's being a butthead.
right. Well, I think there's that. There's Embiid thinking he wants to have his little zone that he thinks he should control, and
Well, you got that veteran young guy clash. That,
Yeah.
it was Embiid's team, and Jimmy Butler's a
now
veteran.
it's Butler's team, and
I don't know if it's Butler's team, but I think there's a power struggle going
I
on
think it is Butler's team. Surely they're going to bury this, though. They've got to realize how good they could actually be if they just suck it up. And both sides are going to have to give a little on it, but surely they're going to figure it out.
I mean, they got to be one of the top 3 talents in the East right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's 3 players that are really good players that, man, figure it out,
Then you have Boston at number 5.
That's the biggest head scratcher for me this year. I figured they're at worst going to be 2 with all the talent. They had all them injuries last year, and I don't know where they finished. Where they finished 2 or 3 last year.
Yeah.
I figured with everybody being healthy, especially Kyrie, it was going to be at least pushing for a 1. At the worst.
Well, think if you look at straight talent, I think you have Boston, Philadelphia, and Toronto as your 3 best, most talented teams in the East. They just haven't been able to play it out that way for some reason, whatever reason that is. Then you have Miami at 500 in the 6th spot.
Very strange.
Well, I mean, you only got to be 500 to get there. So,
Yeah.
And then you have Brooklyn and Charlotte rounding out the last 2 spots under 500. So,
Yeah. Kemba Walker goes down, they're done. That's about it, though. I was surprised Detroit isn't creeping in with
Yeah.
Drummond and Blake Griffin.
Yep.
I think they end up eventually getting in that spot.
What is Griffin even doing this year? Is he scoring at all?
25 and-
Is he
Yeah,
at
he's
25?
scoring. He's actually, instead of just high flying, he's developed a little 3-point shot now,
Right.
which has kind of helped his game because he's getting older, which is going to extend his career a little bit because he's only, father time does catch up and he can only jump over people for so long. So he's playing. He's more
25
rounded.
points is
He's much more rounded this year than he has
that's
been in the
stout.
past.
that's stout.
So
Yeah, I would have
Nice.
to imagine they'll creep in there. I believe your Indiana is due for a slide, and you talking about the under 500 teams that are somehow still in the mix right now.
I mean, Brooklyn. I mean, come on.
Yeah, those
Really?
guys are going to disappear. I'd have to imagine Detroit will kind of get their act together and make a little bit of noise anyway.
Yeah, Drummond's a monster anyway.
He is. He's good.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, seeing they have sub 500 teams in the East, should the NBA look at possibly including the best records in the team and doing a bracket that way, or
No.
You think it
No.
should stay East and West?
I think, once things kind of balance out and even out, and teams kind of this kind of just an odd season, odd scenario going on right now. But I think big picture wise, it's the way it should be.
No, I want to see the old matchups. I want to see Lakers, Celtics, and I don't want to see them play in the first round.
No,
I don't
not
want to
at
do
all.
that.
No.
Yeah, that's just me. Detroit and Chicago or
Yeah.
something. Or not Chicago.
Even
but,
Utah get back in the mix a little bit. And,
They were the last couple of years. It kind of slid off a little bit this
yeah,
year.
and I thought they were due for kind of a charge, and they still could, but at this point they're very disappointing.
Yeah, well, you got to think about it too. The West keeps on getting more players, and they didn't really add anybody new.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of young talent in the East. A lot.
There is, but who knows?
it's on 3 or 4 teams though.
And
too.
when the West comes calling, who are they going to suck all that good talent to the West?
right, and when those guys become free agents,
It looks
they
like
get
AD
pulled.
looks like he's going to be on the move, and if Butler and Embiid keep their crap up, one of them's liable to get grabbed by
Get
a
moved.
Western team. So
The Greek Freak's probably going to
Yeah,
be going in a couple
yeah.
years.
and they. And I want the East to be good because I want it to be, a little more level. But I'm definitely a bigger Western Conference fan when it comes to the NBA.
Yeah, but it's never fun to when
Just
you go to the finals and
dominating.
just dominate the East every year.
I agree. Like I say, I want it to level up some, but
When we watch the conference finals, whoever wins that game, you're like, okay, well they're going to win the championship now.
I'm just glad that the power is in the West. I guess if it has to be one way or another. But I agree. I do want the East to.
I'm not sure if the Rockets met last year, they wouldn't do about the same thing to the Cavs that Golden State did.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, for that matter, the top 3 teams,
Yeah.
doing the same thing. You had after them was Portland. They had a pretty good squad. So
That'd
yeah.
been a pretty good series.
So yeah, it's been so that kind of wraps up our coverage of the NBA. Moving on, we're gonna re-energize our Burst My Bubble segment, but instead of our NFL teams, we're gonna do it with the remaining NFL quarterbacks.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
man, I'm going to suck.
Well, as long as you don't swallow, you'll be all right.
You son of a...
So let's start out with the AFC. Starting out with the Colts with Andrew General Luck.
General Luck, that's right.
Going off with J-Man.
Who's opposing me?
Your
here?
fee's going to be bursting your bubble.
Who are they
Alright.
playing?
The Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Let's hit a little
Break.
pause right there. Let me get my. All right, so I'm pro Andrew Luck. He's made it easy since the 2nd of December. Put up that crapper against Jacksonville, but it was eye-opening for him because since then they're on a 5-game winning streak. He has thrown 1 pick in all of those games except for the Dallas game, where he also didn't throw a touchdown. And he's proven he's come back from the injury and is on a complete tear right now. I find it hard to believe that their defense is playing decent enough for him, and if he gets in a shootout with Mahomes, I've got to give the go ahead to the more veteran guy, more experienced guy. So him in the Super Bowl would not surprise me in the least, and not only hoisting the trophy, but hoisting the MVP trophy.
I hate you, Steve. Okay. Yeah, he has been playing well this year. Although he is in the playoffs, he has 11 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. Also, in only 2 of his games has he have a quarterback rating over 100 or 90. So, and that was in 2013 and 2014. So and plus he's going up against Justin Houston. So if he gets a hold of him, he's gonna break his shoulder again. So I picked him. I don't know what to tell you. I burst my bubble.
Yeah, I do not believe you busted my bubble.
I don't know. I picked him to win. How you want me to say? Bad burst my bubble, Steve.
No, it's all right.
I just went down in order, man. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
I mean, I got some pretty tough ones to defend too down here. So let's moving on. Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. I got the pro. J-Man, you're gonna burst it.
Hurts
I know
my
it's. I
feelings.
know it's. See, there you go. Another one. He's gonna be hurt. He's been riding his slong all year. Well, I mean, what can you say about Patrick? I mean, he's most likely the MVP of the league this year. Passed for over 5,000 yards, 50 touchdown passes, 113 touchdown passer rating. I mean, the GOAT offense right now in the NFL.
Hard to deny any of that stuff you said, but I will tell you this: he's never been there before. It's going to be tough if he does get into a shootout with Andrew Luck. As hot as he's been, I believe Andrew Luck's vet status will lean in the Colts' favor. He is playing for Andy Reid, who playoff performances have not been his high point, high suit. Their defense is not that good, and the Colts have found a heck of a stride somehow in their defense. He doesn't have that top running back there. He's got Ware and the Williams kid, who decent running backs, but he's not really going to have them to lean on. You know, we're talking about a Chiefs team that last year got beat by a subpar Titans team in the playoffs. So Chiefs and Andy Reid's playoff history tells us they're not in for a good outcome.
Can I just say, it may burst my own bubble there, but Chiefs have not won a home playoff game since Joe Montana was the quarterback, just so you guys know.
And it wouldn't surprise me in the least, honestly. I know this doesn't go with the segment, but Mahomes has had a heck of a career, or a heck of a season. So they very well might pull this upset, but for the sake of the argument, I have to believe him in a shootout. Team, coach, bad history in the playoffs. I'll say Luck's probably going to get the upside of it.
Definitely got a shot. All right, so let's move on to the Chargers and Phillip Rivers. Fee, why is Phillip Rivers going to lift the Lombardi Trophy?
He's got the most balanced team, I think, in the playoffs. As far as defense and offense goes, they're both in the top 15. His running back's healthy. His wide receivers are healthy. He's got old man. Who's that old tight end?
Gates.
Yeah, Antonio Gates. What you got to do? Look like he just come from a hot dog eating contest, man. What do you do? He's one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah, but Fee, how many Super Bowls has he been to?
No.
How many has he won then?
So
what makes you think he's going to do it this year?
he's due.
He has to go against the
I
GOAT.
knew that was coming.
He has to go against the GOAT.
Yeah, the GOAT. Who's throwing to Chris Hogan.
Hey, until somebody beats him, he's the GOAT.
Yeah. You all know who the Patriots lost to this year. The Steelers, the Dolphins, the Lions, the Jaguars, and the Titans.
Who had to buy?
Who had to buy?
Yeah, who had to buy this week?
That's true.
All right.
They had to buy. I guess Gronk had to get rested up so he can catch 20 yards.
Hey, it's all good. Speaking of the GOAT, which I hate to say it being a Dolphins fan, J-Man, why is Tom Brady going to win that Lombardi Trophy again?
Buddy, he's done it time and time and time again. It's been 5 seasons strong. They said he's done or on his way out or losing a step, and he's found a way every single time to do it. Has the best coach in the league on the sidelines, game planning for him. As bad as I hate to admit it, Belichick is the best in the league and has been for a while. They're playing at home. guess what they don't do? They don't lose at home. And his receivers are down and out and basically down to nobodies, it seems, but that's never stopped him in the past.
Fee?
Is it my turn? Oh, jeez, man, Tom Brady's like 41 years old. He's throwing over there to Edelman, who's a poor man's Wes Welker. Gronkowski's got so many knee surgeries. He's going to be on Medicare when he's 40. His only hope is like they don't check his balls before the game. That's the last time he put a beating on somebody. I don't see it happening again. It's Phillip Rivers.
All right. So moving on, NFC, Cowboys, Dak Prescott.
Who's anti-me?
J-Man, you're anti, and I'm going to be pro.
Good.
Well, here we go.
This is going to be
Out of all the quarterbacks in this left in the playoffs, Dak Prescott probably has the least to do in any of them. He's the only one that doesn't have to have a good game for the team to win. He can have a bad game, and his team can win because all he has to do is take the ball, take the snap, turn to his left, or turn to his right, whatever way they're running, and hand the ball off to Elliott all game, and they can win. That's all he has to do. So he doesn't have to do anything to win. That's how he's going to win it.
Guarantee in his mind and Dallas fans' minds, he's done something that Romo was never able to do. He won a playoff game. So, boom, ride stops there. It's over. Handing it off is not going to be enough to get it done. Truly believe he is going to absolutely shit the bed. And not to mention, he's going up against a guy who somehow, some way is indestructible. He's unbeatable. He proved it last year around this time of the season. Proved it last week with a unreal way of coming back and getting the W. So I think it's just written in the stars. Prescott, see you bye, buddy. I hope you play golf or something because you're going to have to find something else to do after this week.
Man, written in the stars. Dang. All right, so go talk about the Rams. Jeffrey Goff. Fee, why is he going to win the
He's coming off the best year of his career. 4,700 yards passing.
all 2 years of it?
No, this year. No. Now, the last 2 years before that, yeah, it was pretty close. You know, and a big part of that is because of Gurley, and he's going to be back and healthy. He's got, even with Cooper Kupp hurt, he's got weapons on offense. Brandon Cooks, and the pass defense is really good. You know, you got Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald, who nearly broke the sack record to help him out on defense. Run defense is sketchy, but I mean, I think the big thing is going to be controlling the clock with Gurley, and that helps Goff up quite a bit. And I see no reason why, you know, they don't win, especially with the Rams pass defense, because that's what Foles likes to do. We obviously seen the Eagles can't run the ball.
Well, you know, if you take out the San Francisco game, his previous 4 games before the last game of the year, he had 2 touchdowns and 6 picks. Against the 2 playoff teams during that 4-game stretch, he had 0 touchdowns and 5 picks.
And Gurley didn't play.
He did play.
Well, he was hurt. He had a hurt ankle.
He's still hurt now.
Nah,
he's still going to play.
He's good.
He's still hurt, though. He wasn't hurt when he caught that ball in bounds and stayed in bounds. Now, was he? That was during the losing streak, yes. So, I mean, come on. I mean, that was...
He was banged up. He's ready now.
Oh.
Who's got to buy, Steve?
No.
Who got your bag?
Oh.
Hey, if you look at the 2 teams, the last 5 games of the year, who has a better record?
I bet if you was... Well, hell, they had to win every game and get the damn playoffs.
Well, hey, I'd rather take the hot team than the team that's struggling.
If he's played at Miami, we would have a totally different conversation right now.
He'd be the GOAT. All right, moving on. Eagles, Nick Foles, J-Man. Why is Nick Foles going to win the Super Bowl?
It just appears he's untouchable, buddy. You know, like I said, last year, unreal what he pulled off. He's playing really well. And I feel like it's just meant to be again. He doesn't fold under pressure. He comes out and he may have a bad series or two. He shakes it off like nothing ever happened, and truly going to pull a what's the boy from Michigan? We're going to shock the world, Howard. I believe that's what's going to happen. They're going to go into the Superdome and boom, shock the world on their way to the Super Bowl.
I heard it here first. All
right, yeah. The Saints, it pains me to say it. I never thought these words would come out of my mouth. Saints have one of the best defenses in football. Although they have the best run defense, their pass defense is not bad. They made a trade for Eli Apple, and they're going to the Dome. Drew Brees. I don't think he loses often there. One of the best ever. Breaks a lot of records.
Well, let me jump back in real quick.
Ahead.
Jeffrey is playing out of his mind. Golden Tate has decided, hey man, y'all traded for me. Let me show up here, and they've got the best tight end in football this year. Doing really well, and you got a motivated Darren Sproles going back to his former team. So I believe they're all gonna hunker down and get around Foles, and like I say, I feel like something special is gonna happen for the young man.
He'll be limp.
He does win. You got to give it to him.
Limp D Foles after this week. He ain't seen that defense. That defense is nasty.
All right, speaking about the nasty defenses, the Saints, Drew Brees. So I got to pick, why is Drew Brees going to win? Well, all-time leading passer, the most explosive offense in the league, and he has the most passing yards, and he's won a Super Bowl already. Done. Who dat? Don't matter who they playing. They done. J-Man, tell me why they're not.
Buddy, it's simply because they're going up against a man who it's destiny is coming in there. And the Eagles' defense actually is back to what we knew it as last year. Hopefully, somehow, some way, Kamara is going to shut himself down and not have a good performance. Their tight end is non-existent basically, and then they've got the who's his go-to receiver? What's his name?
Michael Thomas.
Thomas, yeah. Hopefully Thomas realizes that he's never been in this position before either.
That boy's a stud.
And Mr. Breeze, hopefully, Father Time might knock on his door this week.
Yeah, but didn't Frozen It teach you guys nothing that people don't always live happily ever after? Foles is not going to win it all again. Come on now. Let's move past it. It was a great run last year. But come on, Philly. These are the guys that booed Santa Claus.
I guarantee.
Throw batteries on the field. Come on now. The Philadelphia does not deserve back-to-back championships.
Somebody's going to have an F Foles sign. I guarantee it's going to make it on TV somewhere.
All right, so that wraps up our coverage of Burst Your Bubble. That kind of wraps up our podcast for the day. Any closing parting words?
No, episode 13.
14. Oh, 13?
Should be out.
Yep.
Remind them about the likes. Y'all remember the like thing? Where I get to take it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if we get 100, that's what we're aiming for.
It's got to be on episode 13. You got to listen to it to see what it is.
We are on in which it ain't going to get there now to where, which I guess there's no time limit on it, right? So
right, yeah,
in
true.
3 weeks, if we hit 100 likes, we're going to get Fee in a tennis skirt, and it will be.
It's cold out right now, so there'll be some shrinkage going on.
Visual evidence of Fee in a tennis skirt, and we'll all join together and making fun of him. So.
And I'll post it as the picture of the, on the video
right
that I have to convert.
No, for real, we do need likes. We need listeners. We need your input. We need your, put us down or praise us, whatever your honest feedback is. We want it. And we are trying to make something out of this. And we appreciate y'all listening. So
so don't be scared. Post your comments. Share with your friends. Invite your friends to the pages. Subscribe. Like. Post, comment, ask us questions. We know we said it, but do it. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared.
We done spend money now. We ain't going away. We just going to bug you.
And, we're not above getting guests on here. Get on there and tell us you want to be part of this and get on here and we'll get you on a Bust Your Bubble segment or whatever. So let us know. Talk to us. We'll see what we can't do about getting one of you lucky listeners involved in this thing.
All right, so we'll do this. Best comment of the week gets to drop a message or ask a question to us, either live or through one of our outlets. So if you guys, best comment, we'll vote on it. We'll get you on and figure it out some way or other.
Absolutely.
All right.
Good show, fellas.
Good show. Episode 14 in the can.
Yep.
All right, Fee, hit the music.